All right, and welcome to Thursday night and your favorite Big 12 show on Facebook. Getting ready to come to you, the Red River Football Show. Just gonna wait on Vern, but thank you again for coming out on a Thursday night and watching the show. Shout out to all the OU Sooner fans out there this week. What a game! Vern and I will be discussing that in depth here probably momentarily, but again, welcome out, and we'll just wait on Vern. Make sure that you go and hit that like and subscribe button. Follow us every week. We'll be posting the Red River Show, all your Big 12 football news, covering some of the NFL as well as some of the national games in college. So we'll just wait on Vern, and here we come. We're getting ready to bring him on. We'll try this again. What happened there, Vern?
Keep losing you.
Are you losing me? You got me? Welcome back to the best damn Big 12 football show on Facebook. We're better than live radio because we have no commercials. Buddy. Are we having difficulties tonight?
Yeah. Let me try it one more time.
Oh, goodness. Are you still there? About it. What a great game. I'll tell you, as soon as Vern gets back on here, that was one of the most exciting games I have ever witnessed in the Red River Showdown, Red River Rivalry, whatever we've known it as for so long. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. Let me know what your thoughts were about the game. I'm telling you right now that I probably changed shirts.
We got it? We're good? Yes. Good Lord. It's because I'm wearing this hat, I guarantee you.
It must be something because we've never had this much trouble. But welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to try this again. The best damn. #12 football. Well. Holy moly. What a game.
Yeah. Two halves of football, definitely.
Definitely two halves of football. I tell you what, man, and you and I were conversing back and forth on Facebook. You had more faith in OU than I had faith in OU, but yeah, you're right. It was two. But my biggest question is, why did they move away from Bijan? Why?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So when a coach has to make a statement, that my team needs to learn how to be the bully when we're winning, then you haven't instilled finishing in your team. And you haven't instilled that in your coaches for sure. And to stop doing what was working is a huge example of that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, again, guys, I'm going to try to be I'm obviously an OU fan. I'm trying to be as unbiased as I possibly can. But you're right. This was even what I was telling friends and family that were watching the game with me and things like that. I was like, Texas had this game. I mean, if they had not gone away from Bijan, and I think they got a little scared after that and they were kicking field goals. So I don't know why Texas got scared and were trying. I don't know if they were trying to run up the score, if they were just if they were trying to pass and run up the score, what it was. Had they just stuck with Bijan, and this is my honest opinion, had they just stuck with him, you run the ball, you control the ball, and you don't give that many possessions to Oklahoma. I think what got them scared was that where they stopped him back there behind the 10 there. Bijan ran and they got Sark. And that was when we started OU started putting more pressure on Thompson. And then I think that was once they lost that mindset, once they lost that edge of we got the ball, I think that was one of the reasons that OU was able to chip themselves back into the game.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I also think panic and shock, because what was it? Thompson's first quarterback sneak, 65, 67 yards to the house. And the kid is a phenomenal athlete. And you could see it then, like all the Texas players looking at each other like, what happened? And they just seemed like they completely forgot how to cover a quarterback. I got to be honest with you, man. I could see why the crowd has been yelling for this kid. It's a night and day difference when he is on the football field for OU. Nothing against Spencer. He's came in the season talking about, he was talked about winning the Heisman, and he went from that to watching, the second half in the Red River Shootout and throwing a 2-point conversion. I mean, that was, that was his consolation prize, in my opinion. Just because they didn't have to bring him in for that, but. What is it? Williams is, he's phenomenal. That changes. I feel like if they stick with him, he changes everything in the Big 12 right now. Like, absolutely, because you got to answer for that kid. He's the answer to the running problem. The offensive line problem, everything.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like, and again, I'm right there with you. Nothing against Spencer, and if Lincoln Riley starts him on Saturday, that's who I'm going to back as the quarterback. Because that's Lincoln's the coach, not me, not the fans, nobody else. But yes, you're right. There was a definite change, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, where we talked about were players playing differently behind Spencer than they would other players, or and it did seem like to me that there were certain times where that team looked like OU of a couple years ago, where they were just all together. And yeah, they still made mistakes. There were still a lot of mistakes, don't get me wrong, but the line looked a little bit better. But let me ask you this, because and OU's done, OU's had to put up with it before with Kansas State and things like that, where you plan all week long. You're planning all week long for Spencer Rattler. And all of a sudden, this new quarterback comes in. I think that plays a factor, because your whole game plan was, because everybody's done it, I'm going to put pressure on Spencer Rattler. I'm going to get in his face. I know he's going to make mistakes. I know he's bad under pressure. We've all seen that. He's good. He's been good under pressure too. Don't get me wrong, but that's what they prepared for. I think that put a monkey wrench, as what, like you said, put a monkey wrench into the defensive plan. Because how do you prepare for a quarterback you've only seen what 5 times? You know, a couple of times where they won. You know, they were way ahead in the game, and they brought out Caleb in certain aspects. So it's how do you prepare for that? How do you get a defense to prepare for another quarterback? Like I said, OU's done it against Kansas State. Had to do it a couple times. Part of the reason why they lost a couple times to Kansas State, where the backup came in and did some runs on them and just ran down the field. How do you prepare for
that? With everything that's going on, they should have been prepared. Not necessarily like prepared for him to come in and perform the way he did. I mean, they should have been prepared for anything, especially after the first quarter. After the first quarter, they should have been pulled aside and said, hey, look, y'all got to keep your heads on because we're embarrassing this dude. They've already had issues. They might be bringing in this running quarterback, and you all need to be ready for that. And they weren't. The first play, man, he went through the line, and you could see it. He was surprised he went through the line untouched. He was like, oh, my God, I'm by myself. And then he just ran, and it was over, and I was like, this is crazy. And, you talked about you mentioned the guys, the team playing differently around him. I don't think it was so much that they were playing I don't think it's that they were playing harder for him than it was Spencer. But if you looked at them on the sideline, he gave them hope, confidence, swagger, or spark. Like he was – every time I've seen Spencer play, he'll go to the sideline, he'll sit down, he'll do his own thing first, and then before he gets the ball, he gets up and he goes and talks to everybody. That's not the standard, but more often than not, that was his way. Caleb left the field and he went immediately over to his team. Went right to his team. Laughed, hyped him up and everything. And then he went and did what he had to do to get them ready for the next one. But he spent very little time away from those guys. He just seemed like, he was still, in his, I'm second string. I'm right here with you guys type thing. And that says a lot. I mean, everybody knows that Spencer's got his contracts and all that stuff. And I mean, we've talked about it. How is this stuff going to affect these kids? And, when he made that comment, what was it, 2 weeks ago, when he was asked after the game, like, what do you think about these people calling for Caleb? And he's like, yeah, I don't let that bother me. That has to say a lot to everybody in the locker room. And then this kid, Caleb, comes in and does what he does. And you see how he is with them on the sideline. I feel like they want to follow this kid way more than they do Spencer.
Yeah. All right, you're Texas's coach. What do you do this week differently?
Differently, I put my coaches in a room and ask them all what happened. And the first person that tells me we messed up, I make that guy my lead for this weekend. Period. If somebody says, well, we just got to play harder. No. We didn't have a plan. You guys didn't have a plan. We started winning. We were winning big. And like Texas always does, put the brakes on and just tried to cruise, And, it's unacceptable. So they went away from the win. And that person does not need to be responsible for play calling. Period.
See, I think that's where Lincoln and Sark are kind of in the same wheelhouse, if you will. I think Lincoln has a problem at times letting up off the gas. I'm not saying go out there and run up 70, 80 points.
Why not, though? If you want to make a football championship, that's what you have to do. The mercy rule of football will hurt you because it doesn't make money. Yeah. And not making money keeps you out of the playoffs.
All right, so you're Lincoln Riley this week. You're Lincoln Riley, and you've got Caleb and you've got Spencer. What are you doing?
Caleb's playing. I mean, the kid came off of the bench. hasn't been your starter, and he had way more command and control over that offense. It looked like his team. It looked like he was coming back from an injury, and the team was like, yo, Caleb's back. Let's do this. Spencer did not look comfortable. He hasn't looked comfortable all year. He is not. Caleb looked like the complete and number one quarterback for this football team. If they make the change, I expect OU to run the table and make some noise in the college football playoffs.
Yeah, Lincoln has not said anything. In fact, in the last couple of, he had a press conference on Tuesday and something today. He didn't even usually he'll give out who his starters are or what's going on. Nothing from him today. So I am curious to see what they bring in against TCU come Saturday. But enough about that. I got one question for you, and I mean, I know you're a Texas fan, and you're probably going to agree with me on this, but is Bijan Robinson the best player in football right now? Is he the best player in football?
Yeah, I have to say yeah, only because you haven't seen enough of Caleb Thompson. That kid, I mean, he's I hate that I am so excited to see an OU quarterback play, man. But that's a special kid. He will be Heisman candidate next year, hands down. But Bijan is, I will say, he is the best running back in the country for sure, without a doubt. So,
I moved him. I did my show, my college show earlier in the week, and I moved him to the top spot in my Heisman poll, anyways. Not that mine even matters, but just after watching Texas and watching other teams, the kid knows how. Man, this kid can turn anything. I mean, like we talked about it last week about kind of comparing him to Barry Sanders. He made 3 video game moves on OU in a couple plays. I mean, the kid, he was getting ready to get pounded by a linebacker from OU. He does a nice little circle, on the PlayStation controller, spins, and he's gone. And that's what I like about him. And like I tell everybody, I mean, not that I hate Texas. I like all football. I like all football teams. And I like to see kids succeed. But this kid, I mean, like we talked about, he's just running, finding lanes, making that cut when he needs to. He has got great football vision. He's got vision that he can see the entire field. Even when his back is to players, he can see the entire field. And I think that makes, at least in my opinion, he's the best running back, but I think he's the best player in college football right now. And I think Desmond Ritter, the quarterback from Cincinnati, is probably second because this dude is lighting up.
Yeah.
And we talked about him, that they're going to have to run up the scores on these teams to get mentioned. And Desmond Ritter did that. So, I just think you guys got a great running back, and I'm hoping he stays there at least another. I mean, because he's a redshirt freshman or redshirt sophomore, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So you got a couple of years with him.
We got really lucky. So if I'm not mistaken, he wanted to go to or Ohio State was recruiting him, and he decided to come down and play for the right team down here in Texas. He's a special kid. I mean, he's definitely gonna easily blow 1,000 yards out of wire. I think he's gonna finish the season with 1,500 yards easily, as long as it gives them. And hopefully he gets some Heisman love with Texas's record. I mean, he can't be blamed for them losing anything at all. I mean, he is performing every single down. Even when they get him in the backfield, like one down, you can tell, like, it doesn't bother him.
No.
He just gets up. He's like, hey, good play. Seems like he's a real sportsman. Doesn't get up, start going at anybody. Slaps guys on the head when they make a play, helps guys up off the ground. And then he goes out and runs and puts the Xbox move on the dude and makes a highlight reel out of him. So
he's
Yeah, he's special.
Yeah,
He's
exactly. That is a special talent in Texas, and he's gonna bring you guys some good luck in the next couple of years if he stays. All right, we talked enough about the OU Texas game. We won't rub the salt in the wound anymore. Not much was going on in the rest of the Big 12 over the weekend. West Virginia is definitely not the team I thought they were. They're dropping and dropping and dropping further. And this is what I'm afraid of if OU does this 2-quarterback system the way that West Virginia is. They're just going to end up, some works sometimes it doesn't. It's just not working for West Virginia. They get embarrassed by Texas Tech. And then TCU, or was it? It was. I got to get my notes again. I'm sorry. I know it was Baylor and TCU, wasn't it?
Wasn't it Baylor and West Virginia? And then TCU and Texas Tech?
That's right. It was Baylor embarrassed. I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah, Baylor did embarrass West Virginia, and then Texas Tech and TCU. Another couple of teams that are just going. There's only 3 teams in the Big 12 still. I've got to say right now, maybe 4. I'll give it to Baylor, Texas, OU, and OSU right now. It's just I don't know what the rest of this I don't know what the rest of this Big 12 is doing. They look like they just don't want to be there. I mean, West Virginia just feels like they're getting out there on the field and just going, all right, we lost against OU. Now our whole season's kaput. Let's just play crappy. And then I don't know what's going on with Gary Patterson and Texas Tech. And we talked about Texas Tech. I think the writing's on the wall for Matt Wells there at the coaching job there. So it's kind of literally the only game worth watching over the weekend. It was the best, hands down, game I've seen in a long time. Because like I said, I guess we're going to go back to OU Texas for just a second. Because I really wanted to turn the TV off.
So, I couldn't even, like, when you said you were going to be wearing the Texas hat, I couldn't even talk trash, man. I was like, man, it just seemed like it was too good to be true, because everything just happened like that. I mean, what was it, less than 3 minutes and they were up 3 touchdowns?
Yeah.
It was crazy. And I was like, there's no way this is happening. Like, we're on pace to score 80 points already. I was just no way this is going to happen against OU.
Yeah, it was crazy. All right, so let's look forward to this week. Texas gets a rebound. OSU goes into Texas. I'm still not sold on OSU. They really, really, up to this point, have not played. Kansas State is not the team we thought they were.
No.
And they haven't played anybody up until this point. And Texas or Oklahoma State's getting ready to run the gauntlet. Oklahoma State's getting ready to run the gauntlet. They got Texas. They got Iowa State. They got you guys. So, and they are playing in Austin. Now, I will say Oklahoma State's had their number the last couple of years. They've gone into Austin. But I don't think they've met a running back like Bijan Robinson. And I don't know if they have the quarterback. I don't know if they have the quarterback that can go in there and do what Williams did, or even, we already know that Spencer Sanders is probably going to turn the ball over at least 3 times. I mean, that's a given for Oklahoma State and that quarterback. He's going to turn the ball over. What do you see in this game against Oklahoma State?
I see what should have happened with OU. We should have finished. I think that's going to be a big emphasis this week, especially against OSU. Like I said, the quarterback threat is not the same, even if they bring in their backup. I mean, no. They're definitely gonna learn about our run game. That's for sure. And I mean, they can't even. I don't even think they have the defense to match up with our receiving core. I expect this to be an easily won game by Texas. So,
yeah, I've got
and we'll get the what's his name, the show afterwards, with the mullet talking about this, that, third. So
yeah, I don't think Oklahoma State can put. Listen, and I'm going to be honest and frank. If I will only root against Texas when OU is playing them. Most people here in the great state of Oklahoma are always going to go Oklahoma State, and they're going to root for the other team that's playing Texas. I, on the other hand, will root for Texas over Oklahoma State any day. It's just the way it's been with me. I'm nothing against Oklahoma State. I love my Okie State fans. I don't know. That's weird. It's weird to me. It's weird to me at all. So, I think, but I just don't think Oklahoma State has the choke.
Kyle's.
Yeah. Trash talking the only viewer. Yeah, I know, Kyle. I know.
We're trying to get some viewer participation, Kyle.
I got to talk something to get people to get watching here, buddy. But I just nothing. Maybe if Gundy leaves, I'll start rooting for Oklahoma State again. Probably. I don't know. Maybe it's just a Gundy thing.
Yeah,
I'm
not a Gundy fan.
He's been there for 200 years. I got Texas definitely winning. I got Texas winning 35-21, and I'm being generous. Thank you, Kyle. It probably is because you make. Thank you for the great laughs. I know you're an Okie State fan, buddy. I know it. No, I much respect. You guys are playing great. You are undefeated. I can't talk smack about that. I can't at all. They are undefeated. I just think Texas is way more powerful on the offensive side of the ball than Oklahoma State has seen all year long, and I think that's the difference. Now,
Texas is a strong team. They will have played to date.
Yeah.
Wow.
If OSU wins, you will paint your little Superboy room orange. You know what? I tell you what,
Don't
Kyle.
Don't do it.
Kyle, I'll tell you what. Since you're watching, we'll make this. If Oklahoma State wins on next week's show, God, I will wear an Oklahoma State hat and Oklahoma State shirt if OSU beats Texas. I will wear that, and I make the
I've
same
already
thing.
got. You can't do it 2 weeks in a row. However, if OSU beats Texas, to bear some of the pain with my co-host, what does Manchester mean, Kyle? I don't know what that.
I don't know what Manchester means. Well, this ain't soccer. This
Kyle,
ain't Man U.
Kyle, if OSU beats my Longhorns next week, and Dash has to wear those hideous colors, I will get you a $25 gift card to wherever you want to go eat.
There you go, Kyle. I will wear OSU. He gets you a $25 gift card if OSU wins. Deal? Well, it'll probably come back with like Spain or something. It means you have get with the times, you damn. Listen, I am old, buddy. All right, so I got Texas 35, Oklahoma State 21.
So you got Texas 35, Oklahoma State 21.
Yep.
I am not going to be so generous to OSU. Like I said, I expect this to be a statement game for Texas. I am going to give them 49, and 17 for OSU.
Awesome. All right. Up next, we got BYU at Baylor. BYU had a huge letdown this weekend against Boise State.
Yep.
And I'm still high on this team. I really think. I don't know. I just honestly don't know what happened at BYU. They brought the starting quarterback back, so I don't know if that's any. I don't think that bears anything on it, but another rebound game for me. BYU, obviously a new participant in the Big 12 coming up in the next couple of years. They've already, the deal's done. BYU is already in. They've already accepted the invite. Which, talking to my buddy Thomas Golightly last night, who does work at BYU, I'm getting a BYU Big 12 shirt, so cheers out there. I think BYU's got this one. I'm going to go BYU 28, Baylor 17.
Wow. Both of these guys are one-loss teams, man. And Baylor, I don't know, man. Baylor's defense seems like they show up. I mean, if you look at their resume, first off, let's be honest. They haven't really played a powerhouse yet.
I just can't compare.
But they haven't been blown out.
Yeah, but they haven't been blown out. And that's why I had it just an 11-point game. The one game where they probably should have won, and they did. I mean, obviously, I'm going to get Kyle riled up here again. On paper,
you can't give them anything.
The best team that they face is obviously Oklahoma State, and I think on level, BYU is probably on Oklahoma State's level as far as players go, as far as talent-wise goes. I think BYU is kind of on that Oklahoma State level where, so I think Baylor loses to BYU. That's just my prediction. So I got BYU 28, Baylor 17.
All right. I am going to take the opposite. I think Baylor is going to come back. I think they're going to hand BYU their second straight loss.
Okay.
And I think the score is going to be Baylor 28 and BYU 17.
All right. We always got to have a crappy give-me game. And anybody that plays Kansas is going to get a win. The only redeeming quality that Texas Tech is going to have this year is playing Kansas, I think. So I got Texas Tech 41, Kansas 10. I think I'm probably being generous to Kansas again.
You gave them 10?
Yeah, I gave Kansas 10 on this game.
Yeah, that's I'm gonna give Kansas State a little bit of credit. I'm gonna give Iowa 30.
My wife's speaking in just to see if you're wearing OU.
Tell her I am, and I'm.
Yeah,
I'm gonna dump rubbing alcohol on my head when I'm done.
Oh, you look good. You look good.
She said
I've already promised this hat. And I want you to know this. This is going to be a Doberman chew toy when this is over with.
You look good, brother.
35-14.
35. Wow, you're giving Kansas a little props there.
We give them 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns is good. I mean, I could see that against Tech. I mean, this might be one of the weakest defenses they've faced so far. I just think Kansas obviously has no defense that they're going to give up 40 points to every team that they're playing.
Yep.
Here comes besides OSU Texas, here comes another great matchup. And this could be a redeeming game for both of these teams. They're both sitting 3-2 on the year. Iowa State and Kansas State. I think this is a really good matchup. I think overall, I just went back and watched a couple of games of both of them. Obviously, I watched the OU game and Kansas State one again, and then I watched the Iowa State and Baylor. And I'm just thinking, still, Iowa State's got the edge as far as offense goes. So I'm going to they both got about the same kind of defense. They're both giving up some points where they probably shouldn't be giving up some points. So I'm going to give Iowa State 28, Kansas State 14.
Okay. (28-14) Iowa.
Kyle says he smells bandwagon. What are you talking? What do you smell bandwagon with who?
I know you're talking about me. I've already said I'm going to have my dogs eat this hat. You know what? I'm gonna take the same score.
Yeah, I agree. That's about.
I'm gonna take the same score.
Probably between of all the Big 12 teams, these are probably the two that match up the best as far as the game goes. All right, and last but not least, TCU comes to Norman. Again, I'm kind of going with you. That I think he does. I think he goes with Caleb. I don't know, but like I said, if he starts Spencer, I'll back him on it. I'm still not ready to push them over or getting close to another half 100. I'm gonna keep him in the mid range. That was if Spencer stays in. I'm gonna say the score is 38-21. OU 38, TCU 21.
Okay. I think Lincoln is going to switch because I think Caleb reminds Lincoln of what he used to have with Ole. Yeah. When she put those stupid colors on your body there.
God. I swear, if we could get an extra person on this show, I want you to come in just to be the Oklahoma State person in this thing. I will find a way someday to get this so we can have 3 people, and I'm going to have Kyle on here with us just so we can have some. You bring more comic relief than me.
Yeah. I mean, all he's going to have to do is all he's going to have is to bring the jokes, though, because Texas and OU are going to beat you, every time they play. So he's not going to have much victorious input. I do think Caleb reminds him of what he was able to do with Murray, and I think he's going to make the smart decision. I do think he feels bad that he's torn because Spencer.
Your viewers will max out when you then I'm bringing you on if that's the case. I'm bringing you on if that's the case. My viewers will max out. That's beautiful, brother.
The offense is much more explosive. I mean, as heartbreaking as it was, that second half was probably the most complete and impressive half of football, college football that I've seen in years. Man, they did phenomenal, and I expect him to ride with him. I expect. I think somebody said it. In one of the posts Saturday that Spencer was gonna look for the student portal and punch out. He may or may not come back to. Who knows? He may put in and go to OSU so he can meet you guys in. But I mean, what do you think, Kyle? You guys want Spencer or what?
You'd have the better Spencer.
Yeah, that's for fact. I'm gonna give OU. I'm gonna give OU 55.
Wow.
and I'm gonna give TCU 18. I think they're gonna get relegated to some field goals.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a blowout.
I can. Yeah, both. I mean, I'm not even going to speculate on which one you're talking about there. But if you're going with Sanders, yeah, we can use a new. I mean, that's the question, isn't it? The question at the end of the day is, does he go to the portal? Does he do what? I'll think of it here in a second. I just lost my train of thought because I'm thinking on all the Spencers here. Does he do a Jalen? Does he wait till the end of the year, then do it? Does he do it? No. Yeah. You think he goes? That's the question.
Here, he's got sponsors.
Yeah.
The money this time. He's got money on his mind now, and he just seems like the type of dude that if he gets benched, he's gonna pout and he's gonna take his ball and he's gonna go home. In this case, he kind of
did that. He kind of did that. I don't know if you guys got to see there in Texas, but here in Oklahoma, they showed a couple of things where he kind of threw a hissy fit at the end of the game, didn't go out with the rest of the team, shake hands. So I don't. I mean, again, I don't know what happens. It's going to be just as much a surprise to anybody on Saturday. For other than the Oklahoma players, they know what's going on. Gundy needs to go as well. Yeah, we've talked about that.
Kyle, you're absolutely.
Gundy needs. If you guys want to become relevant again in the Big 12, especially with OU and Texas leaving, you need to get a new coach. He has plateaued, and I agree with you, Kyle. He has plateaued in everything. In fact, maybe he needs to go to USC. And somebody fresh, new needs to come into. He's relying on being top 30, top 40 in recruiting, and that's not what you want. You don't want to rely on top 30 and top 40. And they've been that consistently the last 5-6 years, top 30, top 40 in recruiting. And he thinks I mean, we know what the Big 12 is. We all know what the Big 12 is. We've known that for a while now. That they're just relying on points. If these with the shifting of the way that this conferences are going, the way the shift is going, if they're going to be relevant, this is for every conference, they're going to have to start playing defense. I think it goes in waves, and this is just my opinion. It goes in waves. Defense for a while. Early 2000s, it was all defense. That's all the Big 12 was about. Defense. And it shifted to this, and now I think we're going to shift back to where these, because believe it or not, OU and Texas are going to have to get ready to play defense.
Yeah,
they are. And going to the SEC, they're going to have to play some defense, and I think that's going to be across the board in all conferences. So I agree with you. Gundy needs to go. If they want to be relevant in the Big 12, if the Big 12 wants to remain a big powerhouse conference, Oklahoma State needs to be the one that steps up. Kansas State needs to be the one that steps up. BYU needs to be the one that steps up. When they come in, BYU needs to step up and be that to make the Big 12 stay relevant when these shifts happen. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, we've talked about Gundy before, and you know where I stand. He's lost his ability to communicate with these guys. I mean, sending him to USC, I think that's going to do the same thing to that team. That he's not going to go any further than he is now. I could see him, being like a rehab project by Saban. And that's not a bad gig, because sometimes you need to be re-mentored. And there's, as much as you can't stand their little dynasty. I mean, Saban has mastered college football.
Yeah.
That's not somebody you ever hear. You're not going to hear Saban plateauing, because he doesn't accept mediocrity at any level. He doesn't accept the accolades. That dude, it's never enough. You've never won too much. You're never too complete. He is always trying to redevelop himself, his coaching staff, the expectation of his players, and their performance. Gundy, right now, I just feel like he has become he's gone Hollywood, man. He is not the same guy that he was out there, 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, managing, coaching these guys. He's not coaching them anymore. He's just kind of managing his own career, and they're just on for the ride. And they see it. There is no follow in those guys for Gundy right now. So.
Agreed. I agree. All right, so we got our Big 12 out of the way. We're getting ready to move on to the rest of the NCAA. We got our 5 games coming up. But I don't know if you heard my new top 10. I still have Georgia number 1. That team is just Alabama had, after watching that Alabama-Texas game Texas A&M game, and watching Alabama be shown up, and that could have easily been Florida a couple weeks ago. They were almost exposed against Florida, and Florida's best win was that 2-point loss to Alabama. Don't get me wrong, I like Florida. I think they're a great team, but that was the best win for them because they exposed Alabama to the rest of the teams out there. And you got a Texas A&M team that's on a backup quarterback. They got embarrassed by Arkansas. And Arkansas is a good team, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I just don't think Alabama is
what they
thought. I mean, did, and I think
Okay.
beginning of the season, Kentucky and Georgia would be the only 2 undefeated teams in the SEC. 7 weeks in, I would have looked at you and called you a liar. This Kentucky team is undefeated or 6-0 for the first time since Bear Bryant was a coach for Kentucky. That's a long
time.
Long time. He said I went mute. Can you
That's
hear
a
me?
long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
So that is a long time. So I got Kentucky going into Georgia. I don't think Kentucky, I said I thought Arkansas would put up a fight against Georgia. I just don't see anybody putting up a fight against Georgia. So I got Georgia 41, Kentucky 24.
I think so you got Georgia 41, Kentucky. You said 21?
24.
24?
Mm-hmm.
That Georgia defense is for real. They haven't given up more than 13 points the entire season. That's including the 3 they gave up to the number 3 Clemson.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 42 Georgia and 10.
Okay.
Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky's great. Ranked 11th. But you just said, this defense, man. This defense. We just talked about Texas and OU needing to come in and learn how to play defense. Like this is the defense. This is the blueprint. We said it last week. I think we said it the week before that Georgia was the best team in the country. Saban has known that his guys have been vulnerable. He's talked about it, like the Florida game. There was another game that they didn't have a scare, but he wasn't pleased with how the defense played at all. And they got exposed by A&M, and actually they were exposed by Florida. That was a fantastic point. And they were exposed, put the blueprint together, and Texas just went in there and copied it and was able to hold them off. And yeah, it's what is that? He was a first former assistant coach to beat him in Alabama.
Yep.
And A&M is they were unranked at the time, right? They were unranked. Or
yeah, they were
25,
unranked 2-loss team. Get out of here with your crap. Once they move, they're moved. They're not coming back. OU and Texas will never go back to Bowlesby as long as he's the commissioner of the Big 12.
Yeah, the competitive balance will work out, Kyle. There's a lot of talent in that region that goes to the SEC, and those guys are going to be able to stay at home and play in front of a hometown crowd, and family's going to be able to travel, but they're going to be in the most powerful conference. That's what it's about to these kids. Like, they want to get, these contracts and move on to the pros. They got to play where the pros are pulling from. And the SEC is that's the first place that the pro football scouts are looking, is the SEC. Unless you're a quarterback, you don't really get very much notice from the Big 12 anymore. So Bijan will change that for running back. He's amazing.
Let me ask this, Kyle. You say they'll be back. Why do you want them back? If I'm an Okie State fan, I want to get out from the shadow. I want to be my own entity. Why do you want them back? Why do you want them back? That's the question. So you can answer it while we get on to the next game. So you got Georgia.
Says and he hopes it burns to the ground. That is not an answer. And if it burns to the ground, Kyle, they can't come back.
True. So you got Georgia 42, Kentucky 10.
Yeah.
Good call. All right, I got my sister from another mother. I talked about them the other day. And I'm really high on this team. I like them not only because they got a really cool name, but my sister Peyton, I think it's her grandfather, had something to do with getting this football team put on the map in UTSA, University of Texas San Antonio. Her grandfather got them going in that school. It's a great story. But we got Rice going into UTSA. I just want to finally get UTSA on a pick.
They're undefeated this year.
Yeah, they are undefeated. And like I said in my show the other day, a few years ago, you would have picked UTSA to have a good win on your record. Now UTSA is picking teams to have good wins on their records. So UTSA looks good. They're undefeated. Rice is coming in. I got UTSA 41, Rice 0.
Wow. So you really, really giving UTSA the love. Rice is, I can't. Would you say 42-0?
41-0, yeah.
41-0. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I do think Rice is going to score a couple of field goals. I'm going to give Rice 6, and I'm going to give UTSA 35.
Right.
And both of my twin brother-in-laws and my sister-in-law and probably my wife will be upset because they're all UTSA people. So my brother-in-laws and my sister-in-law are alums, and they don't ever miss a game regardless of where those guys play. So, and then, my wife roots for them because her brothers went there. So
I'm going to have to get a Roadrunner hat at some point, or a Roadrunner shirt. I will get one. All right. So we got a good game there. I got an interesting matchup, and we just talked about we didn't talk about. I talked about it over the weekend or this past week of Michigan State probably being the best team in Michigan right now. I think Michigan State's the better of the two Michigans. Indiana is definitely not who we thought they were at the beginning of the season. Or I should say Indiana's not the team I thought they were at the beginning of the season. But Michigan State's been playing it pretty close with all the teams. I think on this game, though, Michigan State goes out, handles them pretty well. So I got Michigan State. Plus, that Kenneth Walker dude, the third. This kid is a monster at running back. Probably the second best running back in the nation behind Bijan Robinson. So I got them going into Indiana, and it's going to be 35-14 Michigan State.
Man, I don't know. All right, so let's do it. Michigan State. First, I'm surprised to hear that you think Michigan State is better than Michigan.
I'm probably because it's kind of like I'm not a Harbaugh fan. I think he's all talk a lot of the time. Don't get me wrong, he's a great coach. He did great at Stanford. He's done some wonderful things. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. So what do you?
He's kind of reminded me, and he's kind of reminding me of a Gundy. He's kind of hitting his plateau.
Would you have your score for this game?
I got Michigan State 35, Indiana 14.
But yeah, it's hard to. I can't say that Harbaugh's hit his plateau because I think he's finally got what he's been looking for. He's been looking for a quarterback. The guy has not had a quarterback, and he's got this kid this year, man. And they are. I mean, we'll talk about Michigan later, but they're playing really, really solid football, and he is throwing the hell out of that football. As far as Michigan State and Indiana, man, Indiana is just they are so.
Were they a one-hit wonder because of COVID last year?
Yeah, I mean that COVID had a lot of teams that we wouldn't be talking about this year in the conversation last year because a lot of the big players, a lot of the true prospects, the guys who were going to go make money, decided, hey, I don't know if I can risk it this year. So yeah, I do think that helped them a lot, but man, I do think they have the potential to upset Michigan State. You know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick Indiana to upset Michigan State 28-21.
All right. Good pick. Good pick. It was tough, and don't get me wrong. I like Indiana. I don't want to say they were a one-hit wonder from last year, but it's kind of. I mean,
they're so
if
sporadic.
State,
the one week they're putting up 6 points, the next week they're putting up 50 points.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you guys doing?
Who are you?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. We've got this is a pretty good matchup too. This is going to be another if this seals it for Cincinnati. If they win this game and win it handily, there's no doubt in my mind if they go undefeated, they don't get into the playoffs. So UCF goes into Cincinnati. What do you call?
I got Cincinnati hands down. It's just a matter of by how much.
Right.
Cincinnati is dominant. Like, I think they've surprised everybody. And I tell you what, the Big 12, if they're going to do it, they better make a serious offer to Cincinnati right now, because if they get into the college football playoffs, everybody's going to want them.
Well, they're already done. It's already
Everybody's
a done deal.
going to be.
Cincinnati
They are.
Yeah,
They're done.
it's a done deal. Cincinnati already accepted the invitation.
Yeah, then they are without a doubt the incoming powerhouse. And moving to the Big 12, we talk about moving to different conferences for recruiting and things like that. Yeah, Cincinnati is away from where everybody essentially plays in the Big 12, but it's
a good market.
I don't want to say that's helped it has hurt West Virginia. Where West Virginia is hurt them. They're still too close to the SEC, and all the talent's going there because, again, that's where the money is. I think Cincinnati's going to be a real problem for UCF and for the Big 12 for a long time. I got Cincinnati going in there and really putting it to these guys. I'm going to give them 55 to 3.
55 to 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got to. I mean, and let's be honest, they've got to do that. Just like we talked about last week, we knew there were, Temple was coming in. For Cincinnati to really, really make a statement for the playoff committee and everybody, they got to do that. And I agree. I just don't know. I mean, I got it a little bit lower. I got it 31, Cincinnati, UCF 14. I'm going based off of what I've seen UCF play this year and do in the past. I kind of secretly want Cincinnati to blow them out. But my heart tells me it's going to be a little bit closer than that. So I got Cincinnati 31, UCF 14.
Okay.
All right, our last college game of the week. If you would, again, here's another thing. If you'd have told me Wake Forest was leading the ACC Wake Forest was the best team in the ACC this year, I'm telling you, you're damn fool. I'm going to tell you to go find something else to watch because you're not watching football. But so NC State and Wake Forest, they're the top. They're the best teams in the ACC, followed by Boston College. So we got NC State at Boston College.
Play this weekend.
Yeah, NC State, that's the game we're picking. NC State at Boston College. They're all kind of in that wheelhouse fighting for the best team of the ACC. So I got NC State or NC State versus Boston College. What do you call on this one?
Man, NC State at Boston. So what I like about Boston is Boston can put up points in bunches, man, very, very quickly. If you look at the scoring comparison, I mean, both of them are one-loss teams, but Boston puts their competition away. I think offensively they're going to be too much for North Carolina State, and I'm going to go Boston 38.
Okay.
NC State 21.
I went the other route. I like both teams. I got it a little bit closer than you did. I got NC State 28, Boston College 21. I hate picking teams to lose at home. I really do. But I just think NC State's got a little bit more oomph than Boston College. But we'll see. All right, so before we get into with the college games, I'm going to give you our records. I've got them all tallied up from the last couple weeks. I missed last week. You are 7 games behind me. So I feel this belt slowly coming. We're both better at college, it seems like, than we are at picking college or professional. We're both better at professional than we are at college, but for some reason, last week I had it. I had it over you last week, and that was the deal. So I am currently sitting at 38-12, where you are at 31-19. So that belt is coming, and yes, we've already decided, folks. If you haven't been watching, Vern and I are working on a belt to pass back and forth between us. Whoever has the best record at the end of the season will get the belt. So right now I'm feeling it. But anything can happen.
Yeah, man. Second half, you got
anything can happen. Anything, as we've seen. All right, so we'll get on with our professional games. We're gonna go
Hey,
Good matchup here.
before we jump in this real quick, we're talking about professional games. What about Richard Sherman getting picked up by Tampa Bay?
I don't even have. I don't know if there's any words that I would have never. I would have. Obviously, he wants to play for a contender. He wants to get another a ring, and that is the only reason he is playing there. Because I know for a fact that he can't stand Tom Brady.
So, do you think it has something to do with Antonio?
Oh, probably a little bit.
That Antonio make a phone call. Hey, man, it's not what you think.
Yeah.
You know, all the rumors, blah, 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 blah. Tom's a great guy, and now he's here. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so Sherman is what, 39, 40?
Yeah.
There isn't a younger cornerback that you could have called? Somebody that's going to be around and help you build. It just seems like Tampa is building for potential one shots, you know, just a one and done. Hey, we got Tom back. Let's try and get him number 8. Boom. And then we'll just see what happens next year. And they can do that because they just won the Super Bowl. If they go the next 5 years and not win anything, 5 years ago they still won, you know, the Super Bowl. So they'll okay. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. But we'll see how he plays.
Yeah, I would have never, just knowing the history between those two, I never would have guessed it. But you're right. It could be a lot with Antonio because it seems like even he's calmed down a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see what it is. Yeah. Maybe Tom just has that.
And then the elephant in the room, man. Old Gruden.
You know what? We talked about this the other night.
Yeah.
We know what the NFL is doing. We know what kind of way they want to portray themselves.
Yeah.
It's not a good. I mean, that's not a good look for any. I don't care if it was 1 year, 10 years, 15 years. It's not a good look for anybody. Period. And that this is Dash's opinion. It's not a good look for anybody, no matter who you're talking about. I don't care if you're buddies or best friends, or if you guys knew they knew it was a joke. At some point, you have to think and ask yourself in an email, is this a good thing to do? Is this
what was it? 107?
Yeah.
127 years now?
Yeah. Is this the right? And I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, I guarantee you every owner and every coach, every assistant coach, every ball boy on every team right now is going back in their emails. And I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is. Now, I know there's the argument out there that you can say it was 10 years ago. Well, I mean, I understand maybe it was a joke. Maybe they were friends. I don't know what it was. I don't know the whole story. I know what was said, what was reported, and that's the case. He resigned. He obviously thought it was bad enough that he had to resign, even if it was 10 years ago. He'll never have another job in the NFL. He'll never coach anywhere. He'll never be on ESPN. He'll never have a job, maybe at a local radio station. I don't know.
I don't see back in sports at all.
Does that suck for the Raiders? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Did Urban Meyer call up and say, "Hey, leak the emails"? I don't know. Because Urban Meyer is just as bad in my eyes. But it doesn't matter. To be a good person, it doesn't take that to be a good person.
No.
That's my opinion. That's Dash's opinion. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to disagree with it. You don't have to do anything. That's just Dash's opinion. It doesn't take nothing to be a good person.
No. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, he did the right. I mean, if you can say anything that was done right, he did the right thing by stepping down, walking away, and and like we said, they pulled his name. You can go and say what you want to say about all these other players, why they're still in rings of honor. I saw stuff about OJ today. I saw. The point of the matter being is that's what it was. And Joe, stop. This is about we do our NFL picks here at the end, and we'll be done. So enough of that high horse. You're right.
This is your first time about watching.
Yeah, it's obviously his first time watching. So I mean, it is what it is, and I don't mean what it is, but be good people. Be good people. Be good people. All right, let's get on with it. This is a really good matchup, and I'm excited about this matchup because after watching that, and I said this on my show Tuesday night with Eric, I went to bed thinking the Ravens were done. I went to bed thinking the Ravens were done, that the Colts had this game won, they were wrapped up, and it was done. I wake up, and holy crap, the Ravens, Superman, and everybody from Lamar to Hollywood Brown, everybody just showing off there at the end while I was asleep. I said, what, you couldn't do this while I was awake? This is a really great matchup. Chargers at the Ravens. Something's got to give because these two teams both won loss. Something's got to give right here. Who's the best team out of these two teams?
Man, I'm gonna have to give it to the Ravens.
Okay.
Talent wise, I think they're almost equally skilled across the board. But Lamar has been doing this a little longer. Harbaugh has been doing this longer. I think if it comes down to the pressure, like we saw against Indianapolis, I think the Ravens have a history of being able to put it together when they need to. So I got Baltimore over LA.
I chose the Chargers. Man, these two quarterbacks are going to be in the mix at the end of MVP talks. I mean, right now my top four quarterbacks are Lamar, Dak, Kyler, and Herbert. Those are my top four quarterbacks right now, hands down. But I took the Chargers. Man, something I like about this Herbert kid, and don't get me wrong, I think Lamar is an awesome quarterback, and I think he's got, like I said, he's going to be in the talk.
Yeah.
I just got the Chargers winning this one. All right, next up, Cardinals v. Browns. Battle of the Oklahoma quarterbacks. Does Baker redeem himself, or does Kyler continue to just pull off a miraculous MVP season?
I'm gonna have to not because I think him and Baker are both very talented, but the skill players around Murray just seem like they're more team oriented. The Browns, I mean,
give up a heartbreaker. That was a heartbreaker. That was probably one of the best games I've seen in a while, professional wise.
Yeah. So yeah, I just the Browns aren't there yet. It just seems like what has benefited Kyle Murray is the people around him. I mean, you have a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like you always say, be a good human being, a great human being. So, everything on the surface, a great human being, a great receiver. I mean, one of the greatest to do it in Larry Fitzgerald. And those type of things around you, even with, hey, you had a different coach last year, we're going to get rid of him and bring in somebody else. But you keep those constants around somebody, those pillars, and they can really help. And you don't have that. You don't have that around Baker. And the most constant thing with him is the funny commercials. So he needs stability on the football. Yeah, he gets that type of stability on the football with him. Then I would have picked him over Murray anytime. But right now, he doesn't have it yet.
I am going with the Browns, and the only reason I'm sticking with them is I think the running game is going to be the difference. Where Kyler is the I love Kyler. I mean, it's hard to pick between these two. It really is for me.
Yeah.
I think Chubb and Kareem Hunt are going to be a little bit just over the edge there, and I think that's the only difference. But shoot, I could say this, and it's going to turn into another shootout. It's going to be 56-54. I don't know, but we'll see. But I got the Browns. It's a good pick, though. If it was in Arizona, I probably would go Cardinals. I really would. If it was in Arizona, I probably would have gone Cardinals. But either way, it's going to be a great matchup. Probably the best game of the week, besides this next one that we're getting ready to talk about. This is probably the best matchup. I lie. These two teams are going. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season, I'd have slapped you. The Chiefs. Oh my goodness, we've known, again, ladies and gentlemen, we've always known that the Chiefs had a mediocre defense. We've known that. But for some reason, it went from mediocre to just garbage. And now I can't even figure out what's going on with Patrick Mahomes. I don't know. And he's still a great quarterback, don't get me wrong. But we got the Chiefs at Washington.
I'm going to pick Kansas City. Kansas City, I think the problem with Patrick is he feels like now he has to play straight offense and at the same time defensive offense by putting up so many points because he has no faith in the other side of the ball, none whatsoever.
Yeah.
And he's just trying to do too much, and it's wearing him. And then his offensive weapons don't seem as reliable, especially Kelsey. I think Kelsey hurt. I think he's got a lingering injury that he is fighting through, but he is not the same at all. And a lot of these dudes are dropping balls. I'm just like, they are not the guys that he is used to throwing to. And on top of feeling like he has to do too much, you can see the frustration on him when he comes off of the field at times.
Yeah, he's not happy.
Just like, yeah. So I think they're going to handle Washington easy. They play anybody else right now, it's a toss-up. They're not the team that went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you're correct. They aren't the same team. So yeah, I went with the Chiefs as well. I think they start. If there's a time for them to start finding their identity again, and I hate to say rebuild, but they need to start rebuilding something. It's going to be against Washington. So this is the time to do it. I picked the Chiefs as well. All right. Next up is Vikings-Panthers. I think the Panthers lost their identity. They played great against Dallas. And they were like, yeah, we can do it without McCaffrey. We can do it without McCaffrey. And they almost did. I shouldn't say they almost did, but they played a really great game without McCaffrey in Dallas.
Yeah.
But something happened to that team against probably one of the worst Eagles teams I've seen in years. And nothing against, again, I love Jalen. I love Hurts. I picked them to be a better team at the beginning of the season, but something ain't right in Philadelphia either. But I don't know if the Panthers have lost their identity without McCaffrey in the last 2 weeks. I think he comes back at this game. I believe he's back for this game. I'm not sure. But Vikings, Panthers, what do you got?
I got to give it to the Vikings, man. I have to give it to the Vikings. Simply because they have all their pieces and they're not looking for something right now. The Eagles are in complete rebuild. I think Jalen is their quarterback of the future. That organization has problems, front office. Just the way they handled last year was an absolute train wreck, and you can see it trickling down. Another, team with two great tight ends that have just all of a sudden disappeared. Where is Ertz, man?
He
Where's
didn't even.
Ertz?
Yeah, he's none of them, and that's what I'm always afraid of. Like when Dallas and Philadelphia play, you can guarantee Ertz is going to have a bazillion yards. He always does. It's just the way. I mean, but the tight ends always. See, I don't know. I also went with the Vikings. I think the Vikings just are too good for the Panthers, so I'm going to stick with the Vikings, and we'll see where it goes. And obviously, our last game of the week, folks. Cowboys and Patriots, you know what we're going to pick. We always pick the Cowboys. I got to give us a gimme game, Cowboys. However, this is not the same Patriots. The Patriots have had our number forever since, obviously, because TB was there. I think the Cowboys finally break the streak and finally beat the Patriots. I like Mac Jones. I think he's a great quarterback. I think he's the best of all the rookie quarterbacks out there right now. I think he has a decent showing against Dallas, and by decent I mean he probably one interception, about 200 yards. I think that's what he's going to have. But Dallas's defense,
one interception to the side. He's because he's not throwing it. He's not throwing it digs.
No.
Yeah, you just have to treat him like Dion now. The kid is amazing.
Yeah, I agree, and that's what I was just getting ready to say. If there is anybody that Diggs reminds me of, it is Dion. The way he plays defense now, the way he covers the people, his. And I was talking about this with Eric the other night in the NFL football show. Excuse me, the NFL football show we did. He's just something different from last year, and I get it. He was a rookie last year. We all know that. And you're gonna have your growing pains, and you're gonna have, but the first half of the season of last year with Diggs, you would expect from but he started growing. He started growing as the year went on, as the season went on, and he was getting better and better and better, and it's just carried over. And you expect that out of your pros, but you don't see it a whole lot in the second year, defense-wise, unless you're just a down, I see it in linemen, maybe some linebackers, but secondary-wise, unless you're just Deion Sanders, like we said, this kid is great. He's having an MVP season. He's on pace for 17 interceptions. Folks, he's on pace for 17 interceptions right now. Unheard of. Does that happen? If they don't throw to him, they don't throw his way, yes, it won't happen. But if they continue to do that, I can't see him not having that many interceptions. And that would be phenomenal. That would be phenomenal for
so you got 6 and 5 games, and then 10 in the last 9 games.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous. So that's what I got. We're both picking the Cowboys, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is our picks of the week. Any final thoughts for this weekend's games?
Yeah, I feel like my final thought is it goes with kind of what you said. Just seeing everything that's going on in the with the whole Gruden thing, how quickly that evolved from one comment to 100 and something emails. Look, man, be good to each other. We're here for a finite amount of time, and the last thought people are gonna remember about you is the last thing you said, and whether that be over text message, email, in person, over FaceTime. Kyle threatened to burn down Norman, but we know him and know he was joking. Hopefully he's not driving up there with a car full of gasoline. But look, man, we got to share this place. We got to share our passions. Just be good to one another, be kind, and take care of each other, man, because this is all we got. So
I agree wholeheartedly.
And you don't want the legacy to be on that. You don't want that. Gruden was great at football, and he will be remembered for his exit. just, yeah, you can't go out like that. Don't go out like that.
Agreed. And I'm just going to echo what you said. Ladies and gentlemen, be good people. It doesn't take much to be nice, to be friendly. And I hope and pray that sometime, some way down this road, we can all do that towards each other. And I'm not trying to turn this political or anything like that. But just as Vern said, just as you're going to be remembered for what the last thing you've done is, and that's sad for him, but remember this, just be good people, take care of one another. I say it on my dash of life, I say it every time, just take care of one another, love one another. As far as that goes, Texas, continue to use the best thing that you got. You got two great players. You got two great players on offense. I mean, you got outstanding offensive players, but run with your workhorse. Bijan's going to win you the games. Thompson, Casey, this kid threw 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, and still lost the game. So you got something special in that quarterback. You really do. Stick with it.
Yep.
Stick with your workhorse. You figure out what you're going to do on offense, please. I know you're 6-0. I know you're undefeated, but figure out what you're going to do on offense. Oklahoma State. This is just for you, Kyle.
We don't.
Still watching. Run the ball as well. Find your identity. Keep Spencer from having to throw as much, and I think you guys will be all right. But like I said,
call Spencer, have him enter that portal and give him the starting job. And promise him revenge on OU because, y'all need a quarterback.
Absolutely. So, just remember, be good to people. So, from the best college Big 12 football show on Facebook, I'm your host, Dash. That's Vern. We'll be back next Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Thank you for coming out. Love you, brother. We'll get to see you soon, hopefully. And I got some questions for you. I'll get with you later on some of the stuff. I'd like to do another show that we did on Sundays. I got a friend that really wants to see some stuff. So I'll talk to you about that often. So good night, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Later.
Wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday.